If it's not made with 100% whole grain flours, which are usually going to be wheat or rye, then it's just junk food. It's cake. It's fancy sugar. Gaining freedom from health debt is really what this podcast and greatmed.org is all about. Putting power in your hands to improve your God-given ability to be healthy. Many people with preventable disease want to make lifestyle changes. They want to improve or reverse disease, but they don't know how. Walk, Don't Run to the Doctor is the resource hub that is a cure for a common confusion about healthy living. Welcome back to Walk, Don't Run to the Doctor, where we talk about how you can take better care of yourself so you don't need people like me. And today we're going to be reading from a letter from a patient who had a very brief letter. We like brevity, but you can write as long as you want. Would you please discuss the benefits of homemade sourdough bread? And so we're going to use this as an excuse to talk about sourdough in general, because it's a bigger topic than just whether it's homemade or not, although that's a pretty valuable characteristic. So let's talk about what sourdough bread is. So first of all, it's a flavor above all. So sourdough bread has a distinctive flavor compared to yeast-raised breads, and we'll talk about why that is in just a second. And a lot of people eat it because they like it, which is perfectly reasonable, and others because they believe it's intrinsically more healthy. And that's going to be really the focus of today's talk, because it can be fraud, or junk food, or sourdough bread can be fantastic. It all depends on the details, and the two details to keep in mind are, is it real sourdough? We'll talk about what that means. And is it made with good ingredients, including 100%, did I mention 100% whole grain flour, or is it just a bunch of white flour? White flour is just simple carbohydrate junk food, pretending to be good food. So those are the two thoughts. Is it real sourdough? And is it 100% whole grain flour? Sourdough is a complex microbiologic process that uses naturally occurring microorganisms, usually lactobacilli or lactic acid bacteria, and yeast, and typically from the local environment, such mostly air, but it can be in food as well. And it's used to ferment or leaven the bread. So leaven is an old term for the things that raise bread. So yeast is leaven, and sourdough is leaven. Therefore, it's a traditional way to raise bread using an agent that you could supply for yourself. You don't have to, if you're living in the wilds of somewhere, you can't pop down to the store and buy baker's yeast. And so, but you can make your own sourdough, and which does the same thing. Sourdough is interesting because it relies on these incredibly complex combinations of yeast and lactic acid bacteria, or lactobacilli. And they're all different. So the different ferments, we could call them, of sourdough, have different associated flavors and other characteristics, and they sometimes are kind of like pets that families keep, and they might have names. There might be some lore behind them. So our sourdough, is said to have come from Uncle Jack in Boston and went around Cape Horn before it got to San Francisco, and then it came up to our place in British Columbia, and so on and so forth. And whether that's all true or not is very hard to determine. But if you take care of a sourdough ferment, it can last for a long time. And there's also this interesting characteristic that you can actually use sourdough as describing a person. So a sourdough, for example, is sometimes used to describe somebody who has lived in the wilds of Alaska for years. And that's because these are people that had to use sourdough if they were going to make bread. Just to show you how simple this stuff is, you can actually make your own sourdough right away, or a sourdough starter, I should say. So you put a bowl of water with some flour in it out in the air, and over the next 12 to 24 hours or a few days, you'll see little bubbles starting to show up on that water. And that's your sourdough starting. That's the ferment. That's the carbon dioxide being produced, carbon dioxide and alcohol. And so you get this sourdough start, and there's different proportions you might use of water and flour in order to get the desired result. And then you can put that in your refrigerator, and you can feed it. And if you feed it, you can keep it alive for, as I said, decades, maybe longer. And if you want to know more about that part, there's about 1 million people on the internet, maybe 2 million, who will tell you exactly how to make sourdough starter and how to use it in your kitchen. And as a result, it has in a pleasant, I'm using the word in the kindest possible way, but there's kind of a cult around sourdough, and I must admit our family is kind of part of that cult a little bit because it's kind of fun. It's your own. You're completely in charge of it. It has its own little characteristics, sort of like a pet, and it's free, so it's kind of fun that way. The fermentation of bread, whether by yeast in a conventional fashion or by sourdough, converts the naturally occurring starches in the bread. So all those starches in bread are carbohydrate or glucose molecules, and they get fermented into carbon dioxide and ethanol. And the carbon dioxide within the structure of the bread, depending on for example, the gluten content or other proteins and other aspects of the bread, that trap that carbon dioxide, and that gives you the light and airiness, the texture of bread that we're all familiar with. And it enhances the flavor. This fermentation process enhances flavor. It enhances mouthfeel, so the bread chews right and tastes right. Sometimes people might refer to a crumb as a characteristic. And that's also brings into the structure of the bread and the structure of the crust. The fermentation process also may improve nutritional factors and digestibility of the grain, independent of whether it's a yeast or a sourdough product. And then you get this idea of whether it's real sourdough or fake sourdough that we referred to earlier. And real sourdough is fermented slowly, typically 12-24 hours, with this complex microorganism group, I should say, of lactic acid bacteria and yeast. And this produces a distinctive flavor that's quite different than you would get in a yeast-raised bread. And there's potentially significant chemical changes or nutritional changes in the sourdough bread compared to yeast bread. And there's a lot of discussion around that. And the reason why fake sourdough is common, and we'll define fake sourdough in just a second, is that raised sourdough takes a lot longer to produce. The real sourdough takes a lot longer to produce than yeast-raised breads. And so it's easier for a baker to take a yeast-raised bread that they're used to making quickly, throw in some acid to change the taste of it a little bit, and there's various acids they can use. And suddenly you've got this yeast-raised dough that you can pretend is sourdough, and you can put a sourdough label on it, I guess. And that's not what we're talking about. We call that fake sourdough. It may be perfectly good bread, mind you. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with fake sourdough bread if it's made with good flour. But it's not really sourdough. So when is sourdough bread good and when is it not good? And there's two tests. The first test, and the most important test, is it made with 100% whole grain flours? If it's not made with 100% whole grain flours, which are usually going to be wheat or rye, then it's just junk food. It's cake. It's just basically fancy sugar. Because when you just make something out of white flour, which is often labeled wheat flour to keep you more confused, then what you have is just basically carbohydrate without the attached fibers, nutritional compounds like vitamins and minerals and oils, these different antioxidants that are present, all kinds of other nutrients that we don't even know about that's in the whole grain product that is not in white flour. So the first test is this product made with whole grain flour? I'm going to just spend a little bit more time on the white flour issue because I think a lot of white flour products, which include most breads, pastas, crackers, pastries, even those that are called whole wheat or whole grain, they're almost always made with white flour. But they might throw in 5% whole grain in there, whole wheat flour in there, and call it whole grain. So that's where you need to look for the word 100%. So just recapping, the white flour, sometimes called wheat flour, has been stripped of the good nutrition and it retains the starch. So it has all that effect on your blood sugar in an adverse way with none of the benefits. Gone are the vitamins and minerals and oils and fiber that make whole grains good food and be associated strongly with better health. So grains are associated very consistently with better health. And so if you have a diet that's high in processed foods, including processed grains, then you get more mental illness, more obesity, more diabetes, more heart disease, more stroke, more cancer, and so on. And if you ever want to, then in our book, Good Food, Great Medicine, then on pages 39 and 40 in the 4th edition, then we have a discussion about whole grains that you may find helpful. Now we're up to the second test for sourdough bread. And so the first test is what kind of grain is in there. Is it 100% whole grain? 100%. Did I mention 100%? The 100% number is really important, as you may have determined by now. And so once you've determined that you have 100% whole grain, then ask the baker if it's fermented slowly or not. Typically, as I said, 8, 12, 24 hours with true sourdough. And if they can't answer that, it's probably not true whole grain. It's probably not true sourdough. So even better, you can make this stuff yourself. It's really not that complicated. It's really pretty easy. And if you make your own bread, whether it's sourdough bread or yeast-raised bread, you're going to have better mental health, better overall health, and more money in the bank, because good bread is pretty expensive. And if you don't believe my comment about mental health, make a couple of loaves of bread. The first loaf of bread will actually make your mental health worse because it may not come out right. And then you're going to get anxious. But once you made a couple of loaves of bread and you've got the technique down, and we have a lot of simple recipes in our book that work out really, really well for newcomers to the area of bread baking, just think about how much better you feel, how much weight is off your shoulders, how much anxiety is gone because you made your own bread, and your house will smell fantastic. And then you can up the ante in a good way. Even better, get your own flour mill. We use a mock mill. There's a lot of good flour mills out there. And that quickly grinds. I mean, a cup of flour is maybe, 20 seconds in our mock mill. And that'll give you even better nutrition and flavor and even lower cost. So now we come to the really question that I think the writer of the letter was really interested in, is sourdough bread healthier than yeast-raised bread? And the background to this is that when you have this slow and complex fermentation process using sourdough instead of the quicker process using yeast, then you do get different chemical characteristics of the two breads. And so it's not an unreasonable question to ask. And so this has been looked at in dozens and dozens and dozens of studies where these studies are quite varied. They might compare a white flour product using sourdough with a white flour product using yeast. They might be whole grain products. They have different kinds of strategies. For example, they might have two groups of people, one who only eat sourdough breads, one who only eats yeast-raised breads for months, and look for different characteristics. So this has been researched quite aggressively. And the two main things that people have looked for is, do sourdough breads fill you up more, what's called satiety, and do they have a better effect on blood sugars? And this is the claims that you're going to hear most commonly. And I would argue that the data shows, and we have a nice review paper that's part of this, our slide set, that you may want to look at if you want more details. But the difference in blood sugars between the two is very, very small. It's possible that sourdough breads have a little bit less what's called postprandial glucose, but it doesn't seem to make any difference on long-term glucose or blood insulin. So the difference is so small that it's really hard to imagine that it has any clinical significance at all. Similarly, for satiety factors, it's even weaker. The effect on whether how much sourdough bread fills you up is even weaker, and the data is even more uncertain. In other words, it's quite low-quality data. So neither of these arguments really seem to have any clinical significance, and so there may be other benefits, of course, to sourdough bread that we don't know about that are related to the fermentation process. That's very possible. And so, by all means, this is not an attempt to say that there's anything wrong with sourdough bread. We make sourdough bread all the time in our house. We love the sourdough bread because of the flavor. But it's very hard to make a good case for it being any healthier than yeast-raised breads. And of course, whenever we're talking about bread, it's useful to remember that not all good food is good for everybody. And the problem with breads is this big starch load. And if you're somebody who has insulin resistance, too big of a tummy, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, these kind high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, so this thing that we call the metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, prediabetes, these kind of factors, but especially too much belly, then you probably should eat less bread. This big starch load that we get from things like bread are really hard for certain metabolisms to handle. And so people who have those challenges need to pivot to more beans, vegetables, whole food proteins, and frankly less bread of whatever kind. Because good food for you is not necessarily what's good food for everybody else. So, in summary, sourdough bread is great when it's made with 100% whole grain flour, and if you like the flavor. It's even greater when you make it yourself. And as another encouragement to make bread yourself, remember, making bread makes a great gift for other people. People love it when you bring them a homemade loaf of bread. And it makes your house smell fantastic. It's a great skill for your children to learn, and so on. So, however, the differences between blood sugar and satiety are so small, so tiny, that you should not use sourdough bread for that reason. You eat sourdough bread because you like it. Thank you. Our Great Med Substack subscribers see our episodes early, and we also, on Substack, we write current headlines and health myths, and we're increasing the material there, so you might want to check out our Substack channel as well and see if that's helpful for you.